Hi, my name is Judith, and I am the owner and curator of Lalisimone. The story behind Lalisimone, in essence, is just, like I said, it's a dream come true, but ultimately it's a space for me to have creative freedom and to just really express myself from a style point of view and open up my space to other like minds who are just as enthusiastic about vintage, but also just being really themselves through style. So yeah, it's this sort of the symbiotic relationship between how it fills me and how I'm able to also kind of create the same experience for others. Style-wise, I just always kind of had a knack for putting things together that were interesting combinations and stuff. And from a young age, I think people would comment like, I don't know, it was like a thing about me, how I was dressing. So it just always sort of was something that came naturally to me. And and so I moved to New York City sometime in the late 90s, and I started doing some fashion styling. So that was it was a fun time. It was actually a great way of sort of applying what came natural to me and style-wise, and turning that into a paying job. I moved back to California and I started working in tech. I was working in marketing and tech, and then essentially that ended sometime in 2016. And I was like, having a business like this was always something that I talked about. If you knew me for 5 minutes, you know that I wanted to have a shop. It's quite literally like an expression of myself. And if the experience and the vibe that you get here is that you can have fun and almost play dress up and just really kind of push your own style boundaries. And if I enable you to feel confident to push your style boundaries, then I feel like that's what makes Lalisimone different from other vintage shops which are just selling vintage. I always loved vintage, wore secondhand. I come from a large family, at the time a family of 9, which included 7 children. My parents were immigrants from Mexico, and they worked in the fields and stuff, so pretty humble beginnings. So my mom was just super scrappy about how to clothe 7 growing children, and so she spent a lot of time at the yard sales and, thrift stores. So, but that's how we got our new clothing. Well, when I curate stuff, I'm not specializing in decades. Even though I really love the silhouettes of the 50s, but the funk and flair of the 60s and the 70s. And then unbeknownst to me, I love shoulder pads. I used to despise them, but apparently I don't, because I love a statement shoulder. But I'm just as inclined to wear a preppy look as I am to wear platforms and bell bottoms. So I just love anything that is rare and unique. So eclectic, I think, is just the best way to describe it. I do think that when somebody picks out a garment that they're not going to find at the department stores, at the Zara's or whatever, I honestly feel like there is some symbiotic energy going on between the person and this, right? Because it is just I know I'm going to make this shine, and it's going to make me shine. I don't think a lot of people are motivated to do secondhand, used, vintage, whatever, doesn't matter if it's secondhand, because there may not be a full awareness about what it actually means. So when you buy something used, what does that mean for, how does that help to fight like climate change that is driven by fashion. And it's hard sometimes for people to grasp the urgency behind taking steps to help fight climate change, because from where we're standing right now, today, this moment, we still have decent air to breathe. It's getting hotter, but it's still manageable. We're still getting rain, right? Like, we're still not feeling the dire impact of what we're doing to the planet. So, but I think it just takes some awareness. It takes some learning about that stuff. I mean, I'm the first to say, like, I didn't appreciate or know about that until really I got into the business. If you're like, oh, I'm all about the style, that's fine too, but the halo effect is that this is also the positive stuff that's coming from buying vintage or secondhand. Single-handedly, that's the most important part about vintage or secondhand or used clothing. I am as inspired by the community of customers or the community that is paying attention to what I do on Lalisimone. I'm just as inspired by them, hopefully, as much as they might be inspired by me. And that it's truly like a labor of love. Revolutionary means that you do what it takes to be seen and heard, because art is fundamentally that. Art is a voice of sorts, right? To voice for the voiceless. What makes life sweet for me is my children, my family, for sure. First and foremost, them. And also being able to have a space like this where I could really be in my element and just shine.